Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is the second part, or just the second video in my makeup blunder kind of series that I'm doing at the moment. I actually really enjoy doing these videos because I love like reading your requests and problems that you're having with your makeup. So one of the second most common questions or kind of blunder I was getting was cakey makeup, and I am so guilty of this in the past. I mean, like even last year I was doing things like this. It's just not hot. Your cakey makeup does not look fierce. It just looks like exactly like caked. Too much on the skin. It doesn't look like your skin is the best that it can be. Actually, it's highlighting more of your imperfections, more enlarged pores, kind of bringing emphasis to spots, etc. So I'm going to talk about how we can avoid a cake face. So let's get into the video. First step is prepping the skin. I talk about this in every video. No matter what I am discussing, I'm constantly talking about skin prep. Two things that I will always recommend is a moisturizer for whatever skin type you are. The moisturizer I use is Privage from Elizabeth Arden. I've talked about this before. It's a very expensive moisturizer. I don't expect anyone to run out and get this, but it is the best moisturizer I have ever used in my entire life. Moisturize your skin before you apply anything else onto the skin. Make sure that your skin is well moisturized, hydrated, etc. I'm a nutritionist. I'm always going to go back to healthy food and drinking plenty of water. Eating your greens and, you know, getting plenty of veg in and lean meats and things like that is going to give you the best shot. The more saturated fats you have in your diet, the more spots you're going to get, the more clogged your pores are going to get. The next thing I will say about skin prep is exfoliating your skin. Now, I talked about this in my last video. This is the Nip and Fab Glycolic Scrub Fix, whatever. You can use whatever you want. It just has to be gentle. You don't want a really abrasive thing. You're not trying to scrape layers of skin off your face. You're just trying to take the top layer of dead skin and doing it 2 to 3 times a week. So just exfoliating the skin, removing dead skin cells, they're all lingering around, and cleaning the skin regularly is very important. So every evening I clean my skin before I go to bed, removing makeup properly, all of that jazz. So that is your skin prep. So the next step is priming your skin. Now, as you can see, this is a much loved primer of mine. I've cut the top off to try and get whatever else I can out of it, and there's actually so much left in it. But this is the Nude Magic Blur Cream. I love this because I have oily skin. I have quite enlarged pores on my cheeks and around my nose. It is kind of an important thing that you prime the skin. Years ago, I would never ever dream of priming my skin, and I didn't even know why I would prime my skin. I would just whack foundation onto my skin and it would not sit properly, and I always wondered why, because I didn't prime. Primer is just a major necessity. If you do not use it, try it out and see how you get on. You don't have to spend thousands of euros on a primer. This primer costs like €10. It lasts me about 3 months. This is just my personal favorite and the one that I use quite regularly. I always apply my primer to my problematic areas, so my cheeks, across my nose, in between my brows, chin area. They're the most oiliest part of my face, and they're the place that I will have the most problems with. Definitely making sure that you have primed those areas will prevent any makeup caking. Okay, the next step I'm going to talk about is your foundation. One, I suppose, blunder that we all make is we say we want full coverage foundation, but we apply way too much of the foundation. This is one of my favorite foundations. It's the Marc Jacobs foundation. It's highly full coverage, but I have made this foundation work numerous times and not look cakey. The key is tiny amount of product, and don't layer up huge product onto the skin. That is where you get the caking. There's too much product, your skin can't breathe, your skin is just literally clogged in every single way possible. What's going to happen? It's just going to cake and move and budge. This is a very high coverage foundation. I do love it, but you have to apply it in the right way. So the best way to apply your foundation is not with your fingers. I stress this, not to apply foundation with fingers. As gentle as you think you're being with your fingers, you can actually be rough, and when you're rubbing in the product into the skin, you can actually cause microdermabrasion. I think that's the terminology. I did look it up last night because I was like, what is that called? Where it's basically when you're lifting up dry skin on, or dead skin cells on the skin. Now, we all have dead skin cells, whether you're exfoliating regularly or not. You still have dead skin cells on your face at some stage, and when you use your fingers, you start to rub them up and start to like accentuate them, and then you're applying foundation onto them. It's just making it look flaky and caking up the areas. I highly recommend this guy. Now, I know they're expensive, they're €20. but I highly recommend it. I have never found anything, a tool, I mean, as efficient or as good as a beauty blender. The real deal is the only thing that works on my skin. The reason why I recommend this is because it is so porous and it's spongy. There's a bit of water in it, so there's hydration, and it's just really easy to bounce it across your skin, bouncing. So you're not being abrasive to the skin, you're just bouncing a product across the skin, which means it's sitting on top of your primer. It's going to look a little bit nicer on the skin. It's not dragging up dry skin or anything like that. The last thing I want to say about foundation is never ever apply it directly onto the face, either whether you're using a beauty blender, whether you're using a brush, whatever you're using to apply it. Don't go in with it on the face first, because you have no control over how much product you're putting on. Once it's there, it's kind of there. You're not going to go with the bottle trying to scoop it back off. It's just not going to work. So just be careful with how much you're actually applying. Thin layers. So what I do is I apply it to the back of my hand. We don't want to go in with one thick layer, because that's where the problem starts. Thin layers. You might actually be surprised. A thin layer might cover more than you actually think. You might need less foundation than you think. Now the next step is concealer. Okay, so concealer is a huge part of, you know, finishing off the face. It can brighten up certain areas, it can cover any blemishes, but I bet you if you went in with some concealer before you applied your foundation, you would probably cause more caking to the area and you would accentuate the actual spot. So I highly recommend not doing that. Go in with your foundation first. See, does it actually cover the blemish or the spot? If it doesn't, and you find the spot is still protruding through, or there's still a bit of redness in that area, then go in with your concealer. But go in with a liquid concealer and just apply a tiny bit to the area, and you can use something like the tip of your beauty blender just to apply it to whatever area you're having issues with. The next thing I will say about under the eyes, be careful how far you bring down your concealer. Concealer generally has a little bit more full coverage than foundation. I try not to bring it down here because they have enlarged pores down there, which a lot of us do. That's kind of the pory area of the face, and the more I bring the concealer down there, the thicker it's going to be on that area. On top of the foundation, everything is just going to cake to that area. So try not to bring the concealer too far down here. Try and keep it up to around there, just before all the pores are, because you're going to end up accentuating them a little bit more. And again, with blending in concealer, try and use your beauty blender, just tapping it underneath the area, not using a finger swiping or patting or anything like that. It's just not going to apply the concealer the best way that you want. It's not going to be airbrush looking. It's going to be cakey under there, and it's going to be thick. You're going to be moving the foundation underneath. Just not good. The next step is obviously setting. So when you are setting the face, I highly recommend not going in with a full coverage powder. You can if you like, if that's what you're going for, but generally it tends to cake with the foundation. So this powder here is one that I used to always set my face with, and it is just a little bit too thick for my face, so it tended to cake. And a brush like this is definitely a no when you are trying to set your face. So swirling motions, applying powder onto the cheeks is going to lift up more skin, it's going to add powder to those areas, it's going to cake them up, it's going to definitely move your foundation as well, and it's just going to not look attractive. Instead, go in with a brush like this. It's a flat top brush, so it's excellent at just setting the powder by just pressing the product into the skin. Now you can use a translucent powder if you want. My favorite one is Laura Mercier. A pressed powder if you like. One of my favorite ones is the Rimmel one. The same thing goes with under the eyes. Whether you're setting with a translucent powder like Laura Mercier, or you're setting it with a pressed powder like this one that I always use from MAC, and this is my mineralized skin finish, try and not swipe product underneath the eye. We want to pat it again, so we're not moving any of the product, again caking up the area. If you suffer from cakey under eyes, do not bake. I know it may seem like kind of a disappointing thing, but we can't all bake. I find that sometimes the more I bake under my eyes, the drier they become and the more like flaky, and it's kind of sitting into lines that I didn't even have under my eyes. So I do find that baking is not always a great idea, but definitely try not to bake if you are getting cakiness underneath the eye. It's just gonna cause more problems, or in between the brows or the chin or anything like that. Just try and avoid baking if that is causing caking to the area. Baking, caking. And then to set your face a bit further, if you want to use the Urban Decay All Nighter spray or whatever fixing spray that you have, it will just keep your makeup on a little bit longer so that you don't have to touch it up, which means that you're adding more product onto the skin, more than likely caking up the area. But if you do find that maybe your oils are coming through throughout the day, bring blotting sheets with you. You can even use tissue paper. Try and just blot off any of the excess oil, and then go in with your translucent powder instead of a coloured powder. If you go in with a coloured powder on top of your oiled, the two will mix together, causing caking. If you remove it with some blotting sheets, then you might have a better chance, especially if you use something like your beauty blender to apply translucent powder later on in the day when I am finding that I'm getting a little bit oilier. But like I said, you can use the blotting sheets or something like that. So another step to be careful of is shimmery products on this area as well. The more shimmer you have, the more you're accentuating any of your pores or anything like that. And it can look like your makeup is a bit too much or too cakey if there's too many products. So just light applications of everything. So guys, I really do hope that this video helped. I hope it helped all of you guys who requested it, and if you want to see any more makeup beauty blunder videos, then please let me know what you would like to see next. I love getting a request. I think the next one I'm going to do is about covering pores or about your eyeshadow and the perfect application of eyeshadows, because that seems to be kind of common. So please let me know what you would like to see. I hope this video helped you out. Please give it a thumbs up if it did. Let me know if there's any more help that you would like with your makeup, and yeah, I will talk to you all in my next video. I love you guys so much. Mwah. Bye.